This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted, as always, to be joined by the realest man in boxing, Viddal Riley, unbeaten cruiserweight prospect, star of the future, YouTuber, rapper. Anything else I've missed out, Viddal?
Nah, I think that's it. They can't add coaching anymore.
You can't add coaching anymore. You've brought it up, so let's start there. You've
Yeah.
recently re-announced your retirement from
hmm
professional boxing coaching. Talk to me about it, Viddal.
Um, as I said in my tweet, it was a thing where I know I didn't want to do it anymore. Like I knew I didn't want to do it anymore, but it was kind of like you can't let your boys go into war without you. So it's like as much as you don't want to do it, you're supposed to do things for your friends and your family that you don't want to do, purely out of love and help for them. But people made decisions that they know who they want to see progress them forward. And with me making it clear that I have so much other things going on and so many other things to do, I can't fault anyone for making that decision, especially if they're choosing to fight again. It's a full-time job. You need someone that's going to do it full-time. You can't have someone saying, oh, I've got an interview here, I've got training there, I've got camp, I'm sorry. So it makes perfect sense. And now that someone has filled that position, I don't have to worry anymore about who's it going to be or if the person can do the job or not. It's entirely in JJ's court, Gibbs' court to pick who they think can see him through to the next stage.
I'm sure I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. No rift, everything all good. It's just one of those things.
Yeah,
Scheduled.
no. There's no, everyone's immature. There's no beef. There's no arguments and whatnot. It's just simply, I can't do it full time anymore. This YouTube boxing thing dragged out longer than it should have, and now Jake kept it going by fighting people outside of the YouTube community. That's how you know that it's gone on too long, because he's had to seek opponents that are away from the community to keep his thing going. Because the only other YouTuber fight there is KSI, and that ain't happening yet. So it dragged on a bit long, and my career is still something that is the number one priority. So I can't keep putting 5-6 months aside from my professional career to coach these guys. And after coming off the injury, this number one, as I said, is priority that I come back with a bang. Not only come back, but come back with a bang and be consistent and fight frequently. And by doing coaching, that's not going to happen. So,
Yeah, obviously, we've spoken about this in several instances before. Your boxing career is something that you've worked at since you were a young child, so we will talk about that. But final one, I guess, on that before we come back to kind of YouTube boxing towards the end. Been a fun experience for you?
Life-changing. Honestly, life-changing experience, because there's so many things I was exposed to that I wouldn't have seen for years until I reached that stage myself, eventually. So even just the press conferences, how the show is organized, the ring walks, the fight meetings, the glove selection, all these things that at the entry stage of your pro career, you don't get these privileges. These are the things that these guys had. Big venues, ring walks, rap stars, movie stars, actors, actresses, everything. Like just being around them and seeing them walk by and being on that stage, sharing the show with Shannon Briggs, who I respect. And I make it clear that I respect him. I just can't have him start on me and I don't do anything about it. But I respect him, of course. Former heavyweight champion of the world, giving me his time of day. We're having our bickers back and forth, some legendary moments. I can't say anything bad about it. I got exposure. I built a brand from it. I took guys that had no chance of even thinking of being boxers to actually competing on some big stages. And I feel I'm very proud of what I achieved. I feel like I haven't got anything else to prove as a trainer, as a coach. And I actually overachieved for someone who's never coached before. So I'm really happy with it. I'm thankful because people did take me in. And I said this in my video. Anyone could be a trainer, but it doesn't mean that the public are going to grip to your personality. They're going to, you're not going to attract them. So for me being myself and being able to build a brand just off natural exposure is a compliment to me and appreciation to the people.
It's very well said. Very measured response, which we've grown to expect from you. Oh, right, what have you got there?
The water, you know, pure oxygen.
Oh, okay.
Nice little. You know what? I thought water taste was hype. I'm not gonna lie to you, but this is actually smooth. It's smooth water.
See, I don't drink a lot of water, as you can see here. I've got coffees. Would you recommend that to me?
If you made it with this water, yeah.
Instead of one of the 15 I have a day, it might be an idea to start drinking some pure water.
Yeah, boil this in your kettle and see if it tastes different.
Final one on all things coaching before we talk about you. Do you think that's it now? Could you see yourself once you've, gone there and you've become cruiserweight undisputed champion, you've gone up to heavyweight, you've had the big fights. Could you see 35, 40-year-old Viddal Riley maybe dipping his toes back into the coaching pool?
I think so, but I don't think as a head coach. Do you know what it is? Head coach is difficult because one of the main reasons I do boxing is because it's on me. Whatever happens is on me. So I don't have to tell someone, step to the right, you should have thrown a body shot there, you should have thrown a right hand, you should have jabbed. If I don't do it, I just don't do it. I'm the one that messed up. The hard bit about coaching is it becomes you trying to get someone else to do it. And I feel like once I've lived that whole career and done everything, I don't want to go back to the frustrations of people just not listening to what I'm telling them to do. So I feel like I could do assistant coaching and be someone who drops in a camp and offers pointers here and there. And okay, you got a one-off session with Viddal today, pick up what you can. I don't mind doing that, but to be up every day, dedicated to finding sparring partners, finding training facilities and all these things, no, man, I've done that and I'm glad I did it. I proved to myself I can do it, but I don't think it's something I want to revisit. I probably have other ventures by then anyway. So coaching might be the last thing on my mind. We'll see.
Yeah, a lot can happen between now and then, as we all know in this funny old sport of boxing. Right, let's talk about you. The last time I spoke to you, I know that you've caught up with Boxing Social since, but the last time I spoke to you was not long after you had to pull out of the Tyson Jones undercard with your back injury. Yeah. How are you getting on? How's rehab and recovery been?
Very good. Very, very good. I'm feeling almost there. I can do everything. I can run, I can do pads. I haven't sparred, but I've done pads, done a little bit of bag and stuff. I feel good. I'm doing everything, but I'm just doing it measured. I'm just not just going crazy with it. So I'm just testing it out, a couple rounds here, a couple rounds there, and I feel good. My range of motion has improved a lot. My ability to rotate and put weight behind my punches has improved a lot. And that is one thing that I really am excited to try out, because I hit hard before with minimal rotation. It was just brute force power. But now when I'm throwing and I'm hitting the pads and I feel my body turning, I feel my body rotating into my punches. I'm a lot more looser because my body moves as one. Whereas before I felt like there's a lot of battling going on within the body to perform. Now I feel like it's all flowing. I'm more aware of my body as well. So if I do get a little niggle or a little pain, I'm not blowing that out of proportion as well. Because when you're unaware of something, it's always worse. The moment you're aware of it, you know how to deal with it, you know how to tackle it. It's not foreign. So now I get little aches and pains. I'm like, okay, no, that's that. Cool, we can work through that. Actually, now we'll rest today. So it's all about the awareness of the body as well as, curing the body and tending to it. And I've been smashing out physio as well. Literally, I've been doing physio like it's a training camp. So how people do training camp, get up, go to gym, I've been getting up, yoga, physio, everything, just as if it's a camp. So that's why I've managed to recover in a good time and hopefully back out in June.
And you're somebody who has always, generally speaking, has a very positive outlook on life. As I've mentioned before, you're very level-headed. The last 12 months, not just yourself, but everybody's world's been turned upside down by coronavirus. The last few months while you've been sidelined, and obviously the initial phase after having to pull out from that Tyson Jones undercard, how have you kept yourself mentally on the straight and narrow, so to speak?
Well, there's been multiple things that I've done. coming back home was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, help for me mentally to stay on track, because I just needed those people around me. You know, if I was living out in Vegas in a normal time where people can travel back and forth and my family were visiting me, I feel like it's something I would have been able to handle a lot better. But just being all the way over there and knowing that you know your family can't come and visit you, don't know when, there's no end date to it. The people you've grown up with, the people who know you inside out, further than boxing, are so far away. That was a struggle. So coming home definitely helped a lot. And also, I got a therapist as well. A lot of people associate therapists with being crazy, but it's really someone who's studied to know the brain further than you would have. So I don't understand how it's looked at as a negative thing, because I can explain a situation to my therapist, and because they've studied it and they've spent years doing this and working with so many people, they can go, oh, I've heard this before. This. It's like, oh, wow. So I feel like I'm more paying for the experience and the knowledge than, oh man, I'm so crazy and help me. So yeah, that's helped a lot as well. And I think that's one of the best decisions I've made, like changing the light on how people look at therapists is like a big thing for me, because I feel like so many people would benefit from it if they didn't feel like if they told people they'd be looked at as crazy. I think it's such a great thing, and it's helped me so much to offload, use tactics of how to get over things, because I'm very strategic. So if there's a strategy to sleep better, I want to learn it. If there's a strategy to handle this problem better, I want to learn it. And that's what I'm getting through therapy. So I feel like that's helped me moving home, therapy, and just applying what I've been told has helped keep me level-headed. And I'd recommend it to people too.
So I didn't know that. And again, very well said. Obviously, feel free to divulge as much or as little as you'd like to about this. But what was the reason for that? What was the chain of events that led you to go to therapy?
Because I thought to myself, I'm stuck around smart people, but nevertheless, it's still the same outlook. It's still very similar views and people who are emotionally attached to me. So people being emotionally attached to you is always going to affect what they say to you, whether you like it or not. There's going to be that emotional attachment. So I thought, okay, I need to get information and I need to talk to someone who's not attached to me, who can be just plain and just level-headed and just raw, because they don't know me. So I need someone to talk to me in this manner. And it was a lot, because I was moving back home. I had the injury as well. A lot of other things, like trying to find a place where I am now to stay and to live. It was a lot going on at the time. And a lot of the people around me, of course, are feeling a certain way for me, because they're like, you're going through a lot. But I'm thinking at the same time, I don't want to dive into that bubble of, oh, let's feel sorry for you, like type thing. And, you know, it's really sad right now. It's like, no. Let's talk to someone who doesn't care, but someone who is going to have the experience to say, oh, this is how you should handle it and this is what you should do. And that's kind of what led me to the decision, because I needed that emotional detachment for clarity. And when it comes to boxing, for example, as much as my dad, he has an ability to separate the fact that I'm his son to the sport, which is why he's the most effective trainer for me. I'm not saying he's the best trainer in the world, but he's the most effective trainer for me, because he knows, like, doesn't matter if you're my son, that's the bad, do it again, do it properly. And kind of that's what the therapist offered me in life, was that, yeah, you're upset, but this needs to be done, have you tried this, and the moment those boxes were ticked, I felt a lot better. So that made me believe in therapy in a positive way, not in a nutcase way, as some people put it. So yeah,
that's great. And there is an awful lot of stigma, you know, that can be attached to therapy and also mental health. I feel like the kind of the last few years in particular, where we've started to see more and more high profile people, yourself being one of them, of course, now, come out and talk about their own experiences with mental health, really does kind of detach that and takes away the stigma. So credit to you for that. And thanks very much for being so open about it.
It's exclusive, Rob. That's for you.
Thank you very much, Viddal. No, I know I do genuinely mean it. I think it's a very healthy outlook. You have a very healthy outlook on a lot of things. As we've kind of discussed it briefly in this interview, you know, your life has changed quite dramatically in a very short space of time. So I guess for you, it's kind of being able to deal with that and manage those things. And now you've had the injury and you've had the ability to come home and take stock of things. You know, it's good to see you using that time positively to better yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like coming home was the best decision for me. I like to experiment. I like to experience. I like to trial things out, and going to Vegas was one of those things for me. It was like, you know, let's go over there. Let's see how it is for me and see if I can, you know, develop as a fighter. And I did tick that box. I did develop as a fighter. I did create very strong connections and bonds with the team in the US. But you can't replace your family. You can't replace your family. And that was the lesson that I learned there. You can build connections that are strong with people. You can, you know, become a better fighter and everything. But if you're not mentally happy because you don't have the loved ones around you that you've always had around you, then it's going to take its toll. And it did. So I learned a lot from that experience. I'm still grateful for it. It's not frowned upon at all. But I just realized what I need to make me the happiest, and that will make me a better fighter as a result.
Yeah, it's important to point out that, you know, just because an experience didn't necessarily last or didn't go,
doesn't mean it was bad. Yeah.
Life is all about trial and error, and all about putting yourself in different situations and different positions. That's how we learn and grow as people, by the things that work for us and the things that potentially don't work for us. So no credit to you for that, Viddal.
Exactly. There you go, man. That's how I feel about it. It's literally how I feel.
Just talking about your dad, because I know that that's somebody we've spoken about who, obviously, besides being your dad, has been a tremendous influence on your boxing career as well. Yeah. Must be great to be back with him, and you know, being on the same time zone and things like that. Must be
that's a big deal. I'm glad you brought that up. And a lot of the times in Vegas, I'm going bed and everyone's up and ready to go to work. And then when they come in from work and they're looking to chill, you know, I'm waking up. And it's just like, it's hard to communicate, and people over here, their sleeping pattern ends up ruined because they're trying to stay up extra late to talk to me, or they're trying to, you know, whatever. So getting up extra early, whatever. So it was difficult, but he's been a big part, the biggest part of my boxing career. And, you know, it's just one of those things, you might not have the credentials to make you go, oh, wow, this guy is a great trainer, but at the end of the day, he knows me. He got me into the sport. He's trained me, and most of what you see, almost everything you see, has been taught by him. So I don't think he's done a bad job. I've achieved quite a lot as well, and it's not always about credentials and accolades. I feel like a lot of people get caught up in that, especially in this world that we live in, social media. Everyone wants to go to the person's bio to see if they're worth something, or if they're worth being anybody because their bio is so decorated on their Instagram. Like, you know, it's just a bit of it's immature way of thinking. Someone knows something about it, they know something about it. And he knows boxing. He's loved boxing since he was 11. He knows, cool, it weren't for me to be the world champion, but I know enough to give it to you. And so far, he's fulfilled what he said he would do. Everything he's predicted has come true. So I don't see a reason to not believe in him now and take it to that level that he said I could get to from I was 6 years old. So I'm excited to have him along the journey. I'm excited to still have Jeff. Jeff's still the head coach. I made that clear. Jeff is still the head coach, but obviously he's not based in London. So whilst I'm here, I'll work with my dad a couple of weeks before the fight. We'll link up with Jeff and train with him. And he's always been accommodating of my dad being my coach. And of course, the family that he comes from, he would understand it better than anybody, how much family can have the involvement in the fighter's career. So he's always just like, whatever you're working with, work on it, let me know. And then when we jump on the pads, we'll practice it. We'll make sure that it's sharp and you're ready to go. So there's going to be no conflict there. And I'm excited to have Jeff and my dad working together. Something I never pictured as a kid, but a very blessed position to be in. So I'm excited. I am excited.
It's also worth pointing out that you only have to look across the boxing landscape, not just now, but over the years to see. I mean, Teofimo Lopez Sr., there's Danny Garcia's dad. I mean, you kind of list all of Mayweather's opponents. They all had crazy dads who coached them, Ruben Guerrero and people like that. So it is something that we've seen an awful lot over the years in boxing.
Very common.
Not just a current thing. While we're talking about Teofimo Lopez, I've just mentioned him there, I just wanted to grab your opinion on the recent Triller. You are somebody who I believe is in probably as good a position as anybody to talk about this. Now, Triller, with obviously the events that they've been putting on, the Tyson Jones show, which was a massive success in America and around the world. How good is it for boxing to see that sign of intent and that new wave of kind of boxing, as we know over the years, can be a little bit of a stuffy sport, reluctant to change and stuff. We've seen Triller now come in, and they're not just targeting YouTubers or ex-fighters. They're taking arguably, last year's fighter of the year in Teofimo Lopez.
It's a big statement. It's a big statement. For a long time, it was looked at. Well, Triller came in and, you immediately look at it as a gimmick. You kind of look at it as a company who's got money, but they're not trying to do nothing serious. They're just trying to promote these fantasy fights and these exhibition matchups and nothing serious. Now to get Teofimo, it goes to show that they are trying to dive into the proper boxing world, the traditional boxing world, and not only at an entry level, but they're going to the elite level and putting up a ton of money to do it. And at the end of the day, money talks. Money talks, and most of the time in boxing, it is the old faces, the traditional faces who have access to the money, to the network, to the TV, to all these things. So fighters have no choice but to go through these guys if they want to see their career progress. Now, we're in a day and age where social media, as I know, you can run your own career pretty much. You can do your own thing. And as long as you have a platform, whether it's being streamed, whether it's TV, whatever, as long as you can be seen, you can make a great career for yourself. And Triller have offered, 6 million, was it? Just over 6 million for that fight, which is amazing. It's a great sum. And why wouldn't Teofimo take that deal? Boxing's all about taking the least damage and securing the most funds and opportunity for your future when you can retire. And that is a great decision. I'm glad he made it. But being a pioneer, it's not always going to be the most accepted. And I know that as well from experience. That's just how life goes. But it's something that we will see going forward a lot more. The more the talent realize they're the ones in control, the more new opportunities and new doors will open. Because there's no fights without the fighters. There's no fights without the fighters. And sometimes you can be twanged and misled into thinking that you're nothing without us. You can't fight without us. But reality is people come to watch two people scrap. And if you're one of the two that are scrapping, then you got the power. But obviously there's a lot more goes on behind that. Of course we know, but at the pure base of it, boxing is nothing without the fighters. So now someone like Teofimo is using that attitude to make his moves and make his decisions. And I'm all for it. And I 100% support him. And he's a proper cool guy as well. Like, we had some good combos out in Vegas, and he really is thinking with his mind. He's not doing things just for noise. Like he's calculated. And I'm happy to see him progress and make that decision and make his millions.
You make a good point there, and it's something that happens in boxing probably maybe every generation or so. Somebody will kind of go out on a limb and bet on themselves, so to speak. That's the expression that we're hearing a lot lately. Yeah. And it can pay off, and it really can change the landscape. I think it's very exciting for boxing. You go back and look at Floyd Mayweather getting out of his top-ranked contract.
He did it, He did that
because quote unquote nobody wanted to watch him. He couldn't sell a ticket. That worked out okay for Floyd Mayweather, and that changed the landscape for a lot of fighters coming up, in that slipstream. So I think it's really exciting to see what Triller can do alongside Teofimo Lopez. I think their production looks fantastic. I think it looks brilliant when
it does look good. It does look good,
and that will entice people to come into the sport, which is what boxing needs to do. It's seen I believe it's seen by a lot of people as, you know, it is very much keep it to themselves and we'll keep it with us. And I think with the work that you've done and other people, we've opened the sport up to an entire new audience, and there is money there. There's $6 million there.
There is. And like, I don't know, maybe because Triller, before wanting to get into boxing, was a social media platform very similar to TikTok, that they don't get their credit. But who was the Zone 3 years ago, 4 years ago? What was the Zone? The Zone was unheard of. It was all about HBO. It was all about Showtime, Sky Sports. The Zone was nothing. Now we all watch the Zone, because at the end of the day, as long as there's talent, it looks good, there's good fights, then it don't matter what platform it's on, because we just want to see the fight. We're not like, you know what, this is a Showtime show, so can't watch it. We just want to see fights. Everybody in the community, everybody in the world, when they see boxing, they want to see competitive fights. They want to see brand new talent. They want to see something that's a show. And if you can make the show through the production and you got talent in the ring, then you can be whatever network you want. And that is the key thing. Floyd leaving his deal, Tiafimo making new moves. These guys can fight. That's the number one thing. Don't be trying to make these moves if you can't fight. You got to be able to fight. These guys can fight. So it proves wherever their skills go, the money goes, the attention goes. And that's something I'm trying to follow as well.
Okay, well, before I let you go, let's round off and talk about you. You earmarked kind of June as a potential date for you to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
What more can you tell me about that? As it just, obviously, with the world being the way it is, nobody can plan any length of time ahead. But what's the situation with that?
I can't tell you yet.
Oh,
I can't tell you. I'm saying, you're my guy. You know this, bro. You know this. I can't tell you, but there is something close for June, something big for June, and it's not confirmed yet, so I can't tell you. I'd be lying. Yeah, it's all speculation. But if it's confirmed, or when it's confirmed, you know the interview's here for you, my guy. Well, but as for the time being, I just know physically I'll be ready by June. The way my body's progressing, I'll be ready by June. The way I'm feeling, I'm moving, I'm hitting, I'll be ready by June to get in the ring. And then I want to fight quite often. Like I want to fight quite often. I want to fight in June, and I want to fight September. I want to fight November, like that. I want to try and get in a few fights and just get that in-ring experience. That's all I'm missing. That's all I'm missing. I know enough about the sport. I know different styles. I know all these things, but I just need the in-ring experience, just doing it, and then I'll be tip-top, mate.
Okay, well, we look forward to the announcement whenever that is, but really good to see you. Thank you so much for being so open and honest. I really hope people, you know, everybody at the minute, I think it's fair to say, is going through, if not a bad time, certainly a very different time. It's okay not to be okay. Listen to the words of the man, Viddal Riley. If you need to speak to somebody, please do so. Viddal Riley, the realest man in boxing, never realer than you have been today. Thank you so much for speaking to Boxing Social. I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thanks.